Venha bailar.
América Negra, canta Bahia, traz na melodia a nobreza de povo que dança.
The Centro Cultural Dannemann in São Félix in Brazil's Bahia was created after extensive renovation of founder Geraldo Dannemann's first cigar factory.
Here
we are in the Centro Cultural Dannemann, which was founded in 1989. This is our former factory. The factory was founded in 1873, and we have converted it into a cultural center. This cultural center is especially for the people from here, this country, a place where they can see their art, like pictures and music. We also give dance and drama lessons. Live in Centro Dannemann. In the evening, events like this, capoeira, the African Brazilians' traditional style of combat, masterfully performed, displaying incredible body control. Cultural life in Centro Dannemann. For example, candomblé, a blend of various African religious traditions from Nigeria and Dahomey, from where they were brought to Brazil as slaves, mixed together with the traditions of the native Indians as well as Catholicism. By the way, the saying that Brazilians have music in their blood is true. Gatherings like these can last long into the night. By late evening, no one can resist joining in. But even this night at the Centro Cultural Dannemann will draw to a close sometime. It starts with the land. It must bask in tropical sun, sometimes far away from civilization. It's as if nature wants to create an adventure right from the start of planting. Whether in Indonesia, Brazil or Central America, the tobacco plant is picky. We know it flourishes in volcanic soil near the ocean. The soil has to be rich, loamy, sandy and full of minerals. Only a few regions around the world satisfy the demands of the tobacco plant. The tobacco seed determines the taste and aroma, as well as the size, color and structure of the plant. Each individual type of tobacco thrives only where the soil and climate make possible their ideal development. Sometimes it's only a matter of 100 meters that makes the difference between first-class and inferior tobacco. Only nature knows why this is so. What's important is that our tobacco farmers have recognized these subtleties of nature for many generations. A wise person supports nature's work but never gets in the way of it. With tobacco, it's not a matter of simply growing and harvesting. Every hour counts in the short time that the seedling needs to mature into an adult plant. The farmer tends to each plant around 170 times. He waters it at the right time, enriches the soil with husks containing oil so that the leaves shimmer with a satin finish. The tobacco plant is unforgiving. During the days of growth, every hour counts. Only a few hours without sufficient water and the plant starts to droop in despair. That's the reason why thousands of kilometers of small channels are built each year. In only the first 5 days of its growth, each plant is provided with 1 liter of water from this channel. After approximately 5 months of growing, the tobacco plants are harvested. The day has to be right. The hour must be right. Early enough in the morning so that the tropical sun doesn't deprive the tobacco leaves of too much moisture, but not too early so that the dew has disappeared. Never when it rains. Best of all when a dry, warm wind is blowing. All of this has to be given attention when the tobacco is harvested. The leaves are picked by hand, one leaf after another. This is performed according to the maturing process. First, leaves at the lowest level are picked, then the middle section, followed by the upper section and the top section. 3 to 8 days pass between the harvesting of the individual levels. In the meantime, the plant has the opportunity to put all its energy into the remaining leaves before it's time to harvest again. The still green leaves are transferred to the drying warehouse on the same day to process the freshly harvested tobacco. Here they are bundled together in fives, arranged on pieces of wood and hung from floor to ceiling on crossbeams. One stick holds 140, which will later become 20 cigars. As the tobacco leaf loses its green color and slowly turns brown, the climate, the humidity and the temperature have to be checked several times per day. During the process, the water content of the leaves is reduced from about 90 to 25%. The individual tobacco bundles have to be shaken by hand again and again so that the leaves don't stick together. If it's not done, that's only one of many possible ways the results of all the effort and care can be spoiled in the 30 to 45 days of drying. Naturally, throughout the entire drying process, the tobacco planter knows which tobacco from which part of which field is drying on which bar. Different colored strings indicate where the individual leaf bundle was harvested. This is critical to know for the cigar's tobacco composition. Warmth is all that is needed for fermentation, the next step in the development of a fine cigar. Here, the dried tobacco leaves are transformed into tobacco. Sugar, protein and nicotine are broken down. Undesirable aroma components evaporate. The leaf becomes elastic and acquires its natural aroma. From Indonesia to Brazil, from Cuba to Connecticut, this is the natural way that wonderful tobacco is made without any artificial aids. Some fermentation stacks weigh up to 8 tons. The leaves are always unbundled by hand and then row by row stacked on one another. Through the fermentation that sets in, the stacks begin to heat and the tobacco is finished. It's also worth mentioning that the temperature is measured several times a day. A completely different taste would result if the temperature changed or fluctuated. After approximately 10 to 15 days, the entire stack is taken apart and put together again. This happens up to 10 times before the fermentation is done. During this procedure, the leaves in the stack are shifted from the outside to the inside and single spoiled leaves are removed. Proper fermentation is a science in itself. It's decisive in the development of tobacco. After the fermentation comes the sorting. Even before the fermentation, the wrapper leaves are separated from the filler and binder leaves. Now they are sorted again and again, according to size, thickness, color, consistency, structure, quality and strength. On the one hand, this is necessary to select the suitable leaves for the different cigar formats, and on the other hand, in order to obtain cigars of the same coloring. To assure a diversity of wrapper leaf color classes, there is different allocation in each tobacco growing area. In practice, no wrapper has exactly the same color as another. That's the reason why there are dozens of other categories and subdivisions. Now it's time for the tobacco to rest. The fully fermented and sorted leaves are packed in balls and then they are left in peace to mature for at least 1 year. Then they are roused again and moistened carefully to prepare them for further processing. Each country has its own cigar tradition. here in Brazil, cigars are created according to a certain blueprint, as they are all around the world. Depending on the type of leaves, the women sometimes need one, sometimes two of each sort in order to construct the filler. The leaves are carefully bundled, formed into a uniform shape through rolling, and then wrapped with a tailored binder leaf. The forming of the cigar is critical to its later puffing and burning characteristics. The cigar should not be pressed too hard. That way the air passage is porous and the aroma can unfold properly. To make sure the cigar retains its form, it's wrapped in paper here in Brazil and stored for 2 weeks. Elsewhere, cigars are pressed in wooden molds, but in making the Dannemann HBPR, we even forego an additional pressing. After 2 weeks, the paper is removed again and the cigar cut to length. Now the cigar gets its final appearance. It's rolled in its wrapper. This wrapper leaf is critical for the taste and must have the highest quality in terms of form, color and structure. Gently, the last leaf veins are smoothed down. The leaf is carefully cut to the right size and rolled around the cigar by the skilled hands of the experienced tocadora. Finally, the mouthpiece and head are cut from the remainder of the wrapper. With that, the rolling process is finished. But the cigar is not yet ready to be smoked. Next, they are given their names. The cigar ring is placed around the wrapper and sealed with a dab of glue. Then it is placed in an air-conditioned room to mature. After storage and shortly before the cigars are placed into the premium wooden boxes, they undergo a final quality check. Moisture content and weight are measured precisely and noted down. Afterwards, the cigars are carefully selected by a color sorter so that the ones closest to each other in color make it into wooden boxes together. After years of experience, he sorts about 5,000 cigars per day and meets the difficult challenge of placing optically similar cigars in each individual box again and again, or arranging them in tone, becoming somewhat darker from left to right. Every box receives a distinctive inspection number by which the origin of the cigars can be traced at any time. That's how the world is given a little gift, a product made of pure nature and pure craftsmanship. Supposing the cigar has passed all further quality controls, it's then stored to release the moisture that was added during processing. It remains in storage at least 4 weeks. During this time, its taste is fine-tuned. The incomparable aroma and the harmony of the unique mixture unfolds.